Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Battle Report. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Savannah Line Games in Pooler, Georgia, where I'm about to fight a 500-point boarding action game from the new Arcs of Omen Abaddon book between my Creations of Bile, Chaos Space Marines, and Kyle's Death Guard. So the story that we've got going on here is that we are aboard a Death Guard cruiser that is traveling through a sector, and Bile has decided that he wants some samples from the ship. Perhaps they're carrying a selection of Death Guard, what are those called? The Gene Seed, and that he has sent forth a boarding party to go collect those juicy Death Guard giblets that he can then use to help enhance his monstrosities with all of his scientific studies. And the Death Guard have decided they don't want that for very obvious reasons, and have sent down a force to try to repel the boarders as they move through the ship. We are going to be playing the boarding action mission Deck Sweepers. So essentially there are 4 objectives right along the middle of the board here. And once again, when you're setting up the board, it does tell you how to set up all of the terrain that you have, and exactly how to do it and how to set it up, and where your deployment maps are. You're going to have different spots. We'll get into about that. But essentially, you have the 4 objectives in there. During the game, at the end of each player's command phase, you score 5 points for holding an objective, and you score 5 points for holding more objectives than your opponent. So a maximum of 10 points per turn, but at the end of the game, you also score 15 points for every objective that you hold at the end of the game. So it'll be a maximum of 100 points that you can score from those in the mission here. And essentially, the way it works out is that you're just going to be fighting it out. It's 5 turns, just like a regular game of 40K. So there are some different rules that will be a bit different, and we'll go through it as we go through. But essentially, when we are making our patrols, you had a boarding patrol detachment that you could have 0 to 1 HQs, 0 to 3 troop choices, and 0 to 3 elites. And there's specific things like if a unit has a minimum strength of 5, but can add more units or add more models, you can only add 10, so you can either have 5 or 10. And if you have a unit that has a minimum squad that is less than 5, then you have to be only a minimum squad unit when you go into it. So no 6 aggressors, you have to have only the 3 aggressors if you were playing with them. And there are some exceptions to all of the different rules that you can take in the different things. Like, you're only allowed 1 character model, but my opponent will, as you will see in a bit, does 2 character models, because Death Guard are allowed to bring up to 2 characters as long as one of them is an elite choice character as opposed to something else. And there's different things, like Sisters of Battle, for instance, are allowed to take a fast attack unit as long as it's Dominions, things like that. Orcs can take a heavy support choice as long as it's the Flash Gits or something like that. So they've got those that they have out. There's the muster sheet is in the Warhammer Communities downloads on there, and you can check out all the ones for specific armies. But essentially, it's 500 points built with all the points that you have normally. So we've got all the new points that we're playing here, and we're playing with the balanced out sheet and all the fun things that you do with that. So you just don't have warlord traits or relics or things like that. But before we go any further, though, let's show you the 2 armies that are going to be fighting it out today. So for the Chaos Space Marines, my boarding patrol detachment will consist of a 10-man legionary squad. We have a 5-man possessed squad, and last but not least, we have a 5-man Terminator squad. And for the Death Guard, his detachment will consist of a Lord of Virulence. We have a Foul Blight Spawn. We have a 5-man Plague Marine squad. And last but not least, we have a 5-man Blight Lord Terminator squad. All right, going over deployment now. And the way deployment works is that you have a certain number of entry zones for each side, and you can only put 1 unit per entry zone in there. And once you fill up all those entry zones, every other unit that you have goes into strategic reserves. Don't have to spend any CP for that. So they just go into strategic reserves. And then from there, they can start at the end of your movement phase in the reinforcement step of the movement phase. They can come in onto those any entry zones that are empty at that point. So if I move off of the starting on the first turn too. So a lot of your guys will get on the table quick, but So for instance, if I had, all of mine are on the table, and actually all of my opponents are on the table, we both happen to have 4 units worth of models, which is great. But if I had 5 or 6 or 8, I would be able to, on my first movement phase, move out of the entry zone there and be able to put in another model, another unit into that during the reinforcement step. But going over deployment here, on this entry zone, I've got my 5-man possessed. Over here, towards the middle, I've got half of my legionary squad. Over here, I've got half of my legionary squad, basically split up shooty and close combat. And then over here on the left, I've got my terminators. For my opponent on the left here, my left, his right, we've got the Blight Lord Terminators. We have his Lord of Virulence. We have the Fetid Bloat Drone. No, Foul Blight Spawn. It was whatever, you know. all that Death Guardy stuff. And then we have some Plague Marines on this side. So that is going to be deployment. We will now roll off to see who will go first. I rolled a 5, my opponent rolled a 3, so it will be to the Creations of Bile here on turn number 1. Movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 1. My Terminators advanced up the board onto the objective over there. This squad over here advanced up to the door and opened it. This squad over here advanced up behind cover here. And then this squad of Possessed just moved up to the wall, up to the door there and opened it, ready for next turn. So that's going to be it for the Creations of Bile here on turn 1. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Death Guard on turn 1. All right, movement phase here for the Death Guard here on turn number 1. His Terminators moved up to position over here. His Lord of Virulence moved up to the door, did not open it because he was afraid of getting shot himself. His Foul Blight Spawn moved up to here and then did an action for this, did an action here called Set to Overwatch, which will allow him to shoot after a unit finishes a move of any kind. So advance, charge, as long as it's okay, so how is it? So they can do it after any move, and they can do it after a charge even, but only if they were the unit that was charged, essentially. But that's the only way that you can do Overwatch. There's no stratagem to do Overwatch. The only stratagems you can do are the ones that they specifically mention in here, in boarding action ones, which are the CP reroll, auto pass morale, and to interrupt in combat. So he's gonna, but it's an action you can do to set to Overwatch. You can also set to defend, which means that if someone charges you, you get a +1 to hit that you can fight with. All a bunch of different things, including opening the doors, which you can do. But opening doors you can do even if you're normally not allowed to do it. So these guys moved up to here and then opened the door over on this side. And that is going to be it for the movement phase for the Death Guard. So we'll come back to you with the shooting phase. All right, so now into the shooting phase. We're going to start with this unit over here. So there's a couple models that can see through, that can get line of sight into my guys over here. So we're going to start with the Blight Launcher first. So he's got 2 shots here. Hitting on 3s. So that's going to be 1 hit. Strength what?
Strength is, where did it go? 6.
Strength 6, toughness 5, so looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be a wound.
AP 2.
AP -2. No armor of contempt anymore. So this is going to be a 5-up save. It's either their demonic save or their armor save. No, failed that one. 2 damage, so down to 1. And now the plasma gun is going to fire in over here. That will be a hit. That will not be a wound. Now the Terminators are going to fire into my Terminators. So we're going to go with the Melta first. Hitting on a 3. That is a hit. Strength 8, looking for a 2 to wound. That is a wound. AP -4, so that's going to be looking for a 5-up invul save. Nope, that's going to go through.
D6 +2.
That's not. He's not in half range for that, so it's going to be D6 damage. 4 damage, which will kill a guy. And then the bolters from the others are going to fire, hitting on 3s. Alrighty. And then looking for 4s to wound.
Oof.
Alrighty. So we've got 3 wounds over here.
No AP.
No AP, so we got 3 2-up saves. Making them all. Woo! Now his Terminators are going to charge into my Terminators over here. 6-inch shouldn't. Were they within 7? 1 second. So let's go into the fight phase now. We've got his Blight Lord Terminators attacking into my Terminators here. We're going to go with the ones with the swords first. These are going to be hitting on 3s. Alrighty.
You know what?
Going to spend a CP on one?
Yeah,
Okay, going to spend a CP to reroll one. Into a hit. There we go.
Let's do it. It's a
Strength
+1.
Strength +1, so they're looking for 3s to wound. Alrighty, so that's going to be 3 wounds.
AP 3.
AP -3, no armor of contempt, so these are going to be looking for 5-up saves. Making one of them, so one will be down to 1 wound. And now we've got the axes coming in over here. Again, hitting on 3s.
1 miss.
That's a 6 or is that 1? Okay, cool, perfect. And then these are going to be wounding on 3s.
And much worse.
Alrighty.
So that's going to be
4
at AP2.
Okay, 4 at AP2.
Yes, AP2.
So he's going to be looking for 4-up saves. I'm going to spend a CP to reroll one. What's the damage on these? 1. Yeah, may as well. I'm going to spend a CP to reroll 1. No, missed that. So 1 guy will be dead and 1 will be wounded. So the way that Creation of Bile, I mean, we're showing the new data slate here a bit. They can fight. On death. So the 1 guy that died there, but it's now on a 4+. So let's see if he will be able to fight. No, he will not be. So he's just going to be dead. All right. So now my accursed weapons are going to go back over here. We've got 3 attacks each for the regular guys, plus 4 for the sergeant. These are going to be hitting on 3s.
I'll bring them down. I'll bring them down this way.
Okie dokie, pretty good there. Because of being Bile and being accursed weapons there, they're going to be strength +2, so strength 6, so looking for 3s to wound. Okay, so it's going to be 4 at AP -3.
They have a 4-up.
So they've got a 4-up invul save, so 4 4-ups. Failing all of them, so 1 will be dead and 1 will take a wound. And that will be it for the Death Guard turn here. No leadership tests have to be taken here, so we are good to go. So that's the end of turn 1. We'll come back to you after movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 2. All right, movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 2. My Terminators are going to stay in combat over here. My Legionaries have moved up into position onto the objective over here, and then they set to Overwatch, which means that I get to fire Overwatch at the end of any movement phase, any movement that my opponent does. They'll be able to shoot. It's literally at the end of any movement they can shoot, including charges as long as they were the subject of the charge. My Legionaries over on this side moved up so they're out of view of him for his set to Overwatch, so that he's only going to be able to do it at the end if I charge into him. And then over here, my Possessed have moved up, staying out of 12 inches of him so they can't be shot after they made their movement over here. So that's going to be it for the movement phase. We will have nothing to shoot, so we're just going to go into the charge phase. All right, so we're going to start off here with these Legionaries charging into his plague. What is it?
Foul Blight.
Foul Blight spawn. So I need a 6-inch charge to get in over here. They will be in with a 6-inch charge. And then my opponent has decided to fire Overwatch once I've finished my charge move into him over here. So I'm going to get 1 shot here. Going to spend a CP to re-roll that.
Here goes 1.
Into a 2. So you get 2, so strength 7, looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be 2 wounds. AP -3, right? So looking for 6-up saves, fill faces. Getting 1 of them, so I will lose 1 guy because it's 2 damage. And now these guys are going to charge into them over there. Oh, look, they're in. Even with the double 2, they're still in. We're going to start over here. Engagement range is 2 inches when it's going through a door over here. So I'm going to get 4 guys that are going to be able to be in engagement range over here. They're going to... get back here. As much as I would like to keep that. Unless I roll the dice. No falling dice allowed. These are going to be hitting on 3s.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. I will take that. And then these are going to be strength 6, so wounding on 3s, because it's strength 5 plus 1 for being Bile. So strength 6. Your toughness 5, right? So looking for 3s to wound. Not as good that time, but these will be AP minus 2, so that's going to be 8. AP minus 2.
Alright, so...
Looking for 5 up saves. No Armor of Contempt anymore. So making...
That's... Making 2 of them.
Making 2, so that's going to be 6, so that's going to be 3 guys dead. Because they are 2 damage apiece, but because of their rules, he actually loses. It just becomes 1 damage apiece. So he kills 3 of those guys there. Alright, so now my opponent is going to spend 2 CP to interrupt with his Terminators. You might be thinking, oh no, his Terminators get to go, but we did over here, his Foul Blight spawn has a power where he makes my Legionaries fight last. So they fought first, they have fight first for charging, he fought last, so that would nullify them, and they would just be fighting at the normal fight phase, which is what we're at now. So he could normally choose a unit, but my opponent's going to spend 2 CP to interrupt with the Terminators, and then once they're done fighting, he will then choose his unit to fight with, which will be the Foul Blight spawn. So he wants to do it so he can get the Foul Blight spawn before my Legionaries get to fight into him, because he's pretty sure that they're going to do a lot of damage to him. So we're going to start over here with the Terminators. We're going to have the swords first.
3s.
Hitting on 3s. Okay, so that's going to be 4 hits here. They are tough. They are now tough 3 because of the contagion. So you're looking for 3s to wound with the swords. That one's cocked. Yep. Okay, so that's going to be 3 wounds there.
At AP 3.
At AP minus 3. So we got 3 5-up saves. Making 2 of them, so I failed 1. And now his axes are going to attack, hitting on 3s. Okay. These are going to be strength plus 2. So strength 6. I'm tough 3 now because of the contagion, so 2s to wound. Alrighty. So that's going to be 4 wounds there. Oh, no, those other ones. Oh, just 2. Those are 1. So it's going to be 2. AP 2. So looking for 4-up saves here. I make them both. Woo! You know what? I'm going to spend my 2 CP to interrupt because he just fought, so now I get to choose a unit.
Rude.
So, rude, but it's fine. He was rude, I'm going to be rude. So he spent his 2 CP to interrupt. I'm going to spend my 2 CP to interrupt. So now I'm just going to go with my Legionaries in over here. So we're going to start with my champion. He's got a Tainted Chain Axe over here. So these are going to be 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. Okie doke, so that's going to be 2 hits. Strength plus 1 for the Tainted Chain Axe, plus 1 because of being Bile, so looking for 3s to wound. That's going to be 2 wounds at AP minus 1, so you have 4-up saves. Making 1, failing 1, so he'll take 1 damage. We then have the Heavy Chain Axe over there, hitting on 4s because it's minus 1 to hit. So that's just going to be the 1 hit. Wounding on a 3, strength 9 all told there. Not going to do it with the 1. You know what, I'm going to spend a CP to re-roll that because I really want this chain axe to do it. There we go. So it's AP minus 4 to just go straight through. So that's would be 2 damage, but becomes 1 damage because of being whatchamacallit. Yeah, because of being stinky. And now my 2 guys with chain swords are going to attack in over here. They're going to have 4 attacks each because of the chain sword. These are going to be hitting on 3s. Okie dokie, that's not great. And then wounding on 4s because of it being Bile with a strength plus 1. Not gonna wound anybody. Okay, so he's still alive. All right, so now here we go. My opponent's now gonna choose, now that we're done with our shenanigans, opponent's gonna choose the unit. He's gonna choose the unit into my possess over here. So we're gonna go with the flail first, hitting on 3s. So that's gonna be 3 hits. Strength, what is it?
5.
Strength 5, toughness 4 now because of the contagion. So looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be 2 wounds. AP
minus 2.
On the flail is AP minus 2. So looking for 5-up saves. Failing them both. 2 damage apiece. So that's going to kill the 1 guy. Put another guy down to 1 wound. And now the Great Plague Cleaver gets to go.
Hitting on 4s.
Hitting on 4s.
Nope.
No hits there. And now my Terminators are going to fight back over here. 10 attacks. Hitting on 3s. Okie dokie. And then these are going to be strength plus 2, so looking for 3s to wound. I'll take that. So that's going to be 6 at AP minus 3. So that's going to be 4-up invul saves.
Failed 2.
Failing 2 of them. So that will kill that guy there. And now the Foul Blight spawn's going to attack into me over here. He's hitting on 3s. There we go. That's going to be 2 hits. Wounding on 3s because he's strength 4. So that's going to be 1 and no AP, so 3-up save. No, take a wound. All right, so that's going to be it for the turn here for the whatchamacallit, for the Creations of Bile. So now going into it, my opponent is going to now have to do a morale test on his Plague Marines over on this side. So they lost 3 guys. Leadership would normally be 7 because he took out the champion in order to maintain the weapons that he had there in combat. But my possessed have fearsome as a rule. So within 6 inches of them, they will now be -1 leadership. So they're gonna be leadership 6. They lost 3. So on a 4+, one of them will run, and then on a I think it's a 1 or a 2 because it left. Oh, and on the 1. Both of them will run away. So that is going to be it for the Creations of Bile turn here on turn number 2. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Death Guard on turn number 2. All right, in the movement phase, my opponent is just going to open the hatchway here. Everyone else is going to stay still. When you open a hatchway, that does trigger Overwatch, so I'm going to fire Overwatch there. So we're going to fire with my plasma guy first. Not going to supercharge, just hitting on 6s over here. So it's not going to make much of a difference. So these, because you're -1 to the damage, does not matter for that. So it's going to be 2 shots, hitting on 6s, fill faces. Nope, nothing there. We're going to do 3 bolters, 6s, nothing there. And then it's going to be 8 shots with the chain cannon. Getting 2 hits there. 1 second. And then it's going to be strength 5, so looking for 4s to wound. Okay, never mind. All right, so opening hatchway actually finishes at the end of the movement phase. So now into the shooting phase, my opponent is going to fire into my guys over here. So he's got a 2d6 shots. So that's going to be 7 auto hits over there. So these are going to be strength 5, so looking for 3s to wound. Okay, so that's going to be 5 wounds into me over here. These are going to be AP -1, so looking for 4 up saves on my guys. Making all but 1, so I will take 1 damage. All right, so into the charge phase now. My opponent is going to charge into me over here on this side, so he's going to needs a 7-inch charge, and he gets it into combat. All right, now his Lord of Virulence is going to attack into me over here. He's got a Plague Claw, so it's going to be 5 attacks here, hitting on 3s. So that's going to be 3 hits. Spend your CP to reroll one of those. Sounds good. So that's going to be 4 hits. Wounding on 2s. That is going to be 3 wounds.
AP 3.
3 wounds at AP 3. So looking for fill faces. Not getting any of them. 2 damage apiece. So that's going to kill 3 guys. And now my Terminators are going to go. So we're going to have 10 attacks coming into you over here. Hitting on 3s. Okay. Pretty good there. And wounding on 3s. Oh, I am actually going to spend a CP on one of those. Okay, so that's going to be 4 at AP -3. So 4 ups. Failing 1. All right. And now over here, his guy's going to go. Hitting on 3s. Okay, so getting 1 hit. And does do a wound. And I fail to save. All right, fair enough. Does he get to fight on death here? He does. Yeah, so he will get to fight. We actually also forgot that we rolled for those 3 guys that died there. 2 of them will actually get to fight into him over there, which is good. So we'll go with that. But over here, we're going to start with, we're just going to do them all together since I'm going to choose this guy next. So we'll do the champion first with the Tainted Chain Axe. That's going to be all hits. Looking for 3s to wound. That is going to be 2 wounds at AP -1. Oh, failed them both. He's dead, so it didn't make a difference. So we'll just do these guys back over here again. Hitting on 3s. Okie dokie. Wounding on 5s. 2 wounds.
2 up?
Yep, 2 ups.
Oh,
ooh, takes a wound. And now we're going to do the Terminators over here. So we're going to do the guy with the sword first. That's going to be 2 hits. That's going to be 1 wound. P -3, so 5 up. No, failed that one. And here come the axes into my guys over here. 3s to hit.
Amazing.
Okay. And then wounding on 2s. That's going to be 3 wounds. 3 wounds at AP2. 4 up saves. Failing 2 of them, so that's going to be 1 guy dead. And then last but not least, I've got the guys over here that died fighting. So we're going to have 6 attacks from, or the guys that didn't die, I should say, hitting on 3s. Alrighty, pretty good there. Wounding on 5s. That is going to be 2 wounds again, sir. 2 up saves. He's good. Oh no, failed 1. Yeah, he's down to 4. All right, so that's going to be it for the Death Guard turn here. I do have to take a leadership test over there. They lost 3 guys in their squad. 3 plus 6 is one that's going to run, and and so is the other one. All right, paid back for the Plague Marines over there. So they will run away over there. Fair enough. That's just the way it goes there. So we'll come back to you with the after movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 3. All right, turn 3 movement phase. My possessed advance over here. They rolled not quite enough what I needed them to, so I had to spend my CP to re-roll it, getting them onto the objective over here. My legionaries moved on to the objective over here, and then they started to do the secure site action, which allows them, if you're an OBSEC unit, you can do this action in your command phase, or at the end of your movement phase, and it will finish at the end of your next command phase, and essentially makes it a sticky objective until your opponent takes it. So they're going to try to get that as a sticky objective, lets them move away from it. And my Terminator stayed in combat, because that's just where he's going to be. So that's going to be it for the movement phase. We will come back to you with it. That's it. That's it for Creation of Bile. Oh, no. I guess we can move into the fight phase. We'll go straight into the fight phase. All right, so into the fight phase, my opponent gets to choose first, so he's going to go with his Terminators. These are going to be the swords attacks here. Hitting on 3s. Nope, nothing there. So then we've got attacks from the axes coming in now. Hitting on 3s. Spend a CP to reroll one of those. There we go. These are now going to be looking for 2s to wound. That is going to be 5 wounds into me over here. AP2, so looking for 4 up saves. Making all but 1, so he's going to be down to 1 wound left. Sorry, he's down to 2 wounds left. It only does 1 damage. So now we're going to go into with his attacks here. So he's going to have 4 attacks. Hitting on 3s. Okay, that's going to be 3 hits. Strength enough to make it wounding on 3s. Okay, that's just going to be the 1 wound. AP -4 though. Oh, nope, that's going to take a wound off him. There we go. And that's it for Creation of Bile here on turn 3. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Death Guard on turn 3. All right, movement phase for the Death Guard here on turn 4. He's just going to move up a bit over here so that he's within 12 of the other side of this door for strategic purposes, because then he's going to set to Overwatch, allow him to shoot if that door is open. And his Terminators are going to stay in over here. So his Blight Lords are OBSEC, which is why he's been getting those points. So he's been getting 5 points per turn at this point. And I've not been able to get those 5 points. So we will go on to into the fight phase. All right, so starting off the fight phase now, my guy gets to go first. So he's going to have 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. That's going to be 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. That is going to be 3 wounds. 4 up invuls. Failing 2 of them. So 1 guy will be dead, and 1 will be on 2 wounds. And now his axes get to attack back over here. Hitting on 3s. Ooh, that's pretty good.
You know what? I'll spend my thing.
Spend a CP to reroll 1. Okay, that's going to be all hits. Wounding on 2s. Alrighty, so that's going to be 5 wounds over here. At AP2, so looking for 4 ups. Failing 3 of them, so I can't do anything to try to save him. So he will be dead, because even if I spent the CP to reroll, he only got 2 wounds left. So he is dead. All right, so that's the end of the Death Guard turn here on turn number 3, and the end of Battle Round 3. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Creation of Bile on turn 4. Movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 4. My Possessed moved up to the door, opened the door there, which is going to set him off to shoot. But we will now. But my Legionaries also moved up onto within an inch of the objective, and they are going to secure the site over here. This one already went off, and they secured that site. So looking to get this one sticky as well, allowing them to move up. So now, my opponent is going to use his. Is going to shoot his shots here, so it's going to be 2d6 auto hits. It's pretty good. So it's going to be 5 out of 6.
I'm going to try to reroll that.
Okay, here we go. My opponent's going to spend a CP to reroll it. Into an 8. There we go. So that's going to be 8 shots coming in over here. These are going to be strength 5. They're tough 5. So these are going to be looking for 4s to wound.
Hang on 1 minute.
1 second. Yeah, the contagion range is now 9 inches on turn 4, so we were just checking to make sure, but they're just over 9 inches away from there. So it's going to be looking for 4s to wound. Alrighty, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at AP minus 1. So these are going to be looking for 6 4-up saves. So that's going to fail 2 of them. So I'm going to take, 1 guy will be dead, and another guy will take a wound. All right, so now we're going to move straight into the charge phase. My guys are going to charge in here. They need a 9-inch charge to get in. I'm not going to get it on a 3, so I'm going to spend CP to re-roll that. Looking for a 9.
There's a 3 and there's a 2.
Nope, not going to do it. So that is going to be the end of the Creation of Bile turn here. We will come back to you after movement phase for the Death Guard on turn 4. All right, turn 4, my opponent is going to move up here a little bit to get them in contagion range now. And then over here, he's going to stay over there and do the secure sight action. So now we are going to go straight into the shooting phase. So he's going to fire into my possessed. 2d6 shots, so that's going to be 5 shots. Going to spend the CP to re-roll that again. Worked last time. Getting 6 shots coming in here. Strength 5 now, they're tough 4 because of the contagion range, so looking for 3s to wound. So that is going to be 4 wounds. AP minus 1. So looking for 4-up saves. Failing 3 of them. I am going to, yeah, whatever. I'm going to spend a CP to reroll one of those into a good. So it's going to be 2 damage, which will actually kill 1 guy. All right, so my opponent was considering charging in here, wanted to get in the mess, but he realized my legionaries, which he wouldn't be able to touch, are going to be OBSEC holding that objective anyway. So he wasn't going to be able to get what he needed there, and it was going to put too many points for my guys there. So that's going to be it for the Death Guard turn here on turn 4. So we'll come back to you after movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 5. All right, movement phase for the Creations of Bile here on turn number 5. My possessed moved up over here. My legionaries moved up over here. They finished their job securing that site, so I've got these 2 sticky objectives on this side here. Now we are going to move in to the shooting phase. So we've got 3 bolt pistols that are going to come in over here. Got to shoot your shots, right? 1 hit. Does get a wound. Drop save. Saves it. We're good to go. And here we go. Now we're going to go into the charge phase. We're going to start with the possessed. They will be in with a 6, and then we've got the legionaries. They will also be in with a 5. All right, so we're going to go into the fight phase now. My possessed are going to start us off here. There's going to be 11 attacks from them over here, hitting on 3s. Okie dokie. And then these are going to be strength 6, so 3s to wound.
Not bad.
That is going to be 2, 4, 6, 7 at AP minus 2. 7 at AP minus 2. Looking for 4s. So he's going to fail 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will kill him. So he is going to be dead, and that's going to be the end of our turn here. And actually, that's going to be the end of the game because he can't really do much other than sit on that objective over there, which will score him 5 points at the end of his turn 5, putting him up to 20 points. I have 10 points from that primary over here. But then you go into the sweep the decks end game objective here, and you score 15 points for each objective that you control. I control 3. My opponent controls 1. So he will get 15 points for that, putting him at 35 points. I will get 45 points for these 3 here, putting me at 55 points. So a victory for the Creations of Bile. Oh man, a brutal, brutal game. Right to the end, we had our Terminator slap fight over here, and then we had everyone else just like scrumming through up in the middle here. So a ton of fun, really enjoying the boarding action games here. A lot of fun to play in the close confines. It really shakes things up, and it makes for a really enjoyable experience. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek, as always. My opponent's Big Kyle, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.